in the design, you have electrical teams and mechanical teams working together to finish the design. And the nature of the engineering process is that the multiple engineers are working together and they need to exchange data. And therefore, being able to exchange the data between all teams involved is of the utmost importance for a better, quicker, and less risk-prone design. The electromechanical process is divided into three main tasks or three main objectives. You have the schematics, which are developed by the electrical team. You have the actual CAD electrical routing, which is managed by the mechanical team. And of course, you have the harness design, which is the nail board or the form board that is worked on by both electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, as well as technicians. To start the process, the electrical team will create the schematics, send the information of connectors, wires, and cables and everything to the mechanical team. The mechanical team then imports the data, assigns it to the 3D routed application, and sends back the wire lengths to the electrical team. The electrical team uses the information to essentially incorporate it into the design and complete a more accurate simulation on a verification to make sure, for example, the voltage drops are accounted for. And to see how, and of course, this process is repetitive to make sure that you get the design correct. And of course, this process, to show you here in a video, on the left-hand side, we have VSys with a schematic design work from the electrical team. And on the left-hand side, we have the actual routed device or component. We're going to exchange the data between the two by selecting which harness we'd like to select. We'd like to essentially export and read the data. The data is automatically imported into the CAD system, which in this case is NX. However, the data is imported, all the components are there, all the splices and everything. If you have more than one splice or one component with the exact same part number, you have to do a manual assignment. However, everything else is done automatically. The wires are brought in automatically and the harness is generated. Now, the importance is once you establish this connection, you can see that you can do an ideal collaboration situation where you can actually cross-select between the two designs. If you highlight a component in VSys, it highlights in NX. If you highlight it in NX, it highlights in VSys. So this way, both engineers can work on the same design at the same time, regardless of the location. They don't have to be on the same machine. They don't have to be in the same building even. It could be different teams on different sides of the country. So this is extremely important. Now, essentially, we're going to send the information, the wire length that are calculated from the mechanical team to the electrical team. Once the import is done, now we can see all the information is brought over into the schematics. And if you click any wire, you'll notice the wire length is added to the design. This is the first part of the workflow. Once the schematic is built and added with the wire length, the mechanical team then starts the process of creating the actual harness. That means sending the data from the mechanical team to the technicians to actually build the harness and the 3D design. So let's see how that process looks like. Again, we have the same setup on the right-hand side. We have NX, on the left we have VSys. This is the on the right-hand side we have the fully routed device with no wires, just the components. What we're going to do is send the information, the routed harness into VSys. And as you can see, we start the process and the data is brought back into VSys, where we can reuse the data instead of building it from scratch. Data reusability is very important. You select, it saves time on both teams. So you select the flattening process, and just like that, you have your 2D flat version of your 3D harness into VSys. And again, the same functionality stands. If you cross-select, you can cross-select different components and make sure that you highlight them together. So it allows for even more collaboration between the teams. Essentially, this is the ideal workflow between the three sections that leverages data and make sure that the data used between all teams and the time is saved between all the teams involved in the design.